Welcome to Introduction to DevOps Concept. This is going to be the first video that you are going to go through. This video is very important because the whole concept or the whole idea of what you need to know, we're going to define it in this video. The first thing, of course, is to understand what DevOps is. Because if you get into something you don't understand what it is, then even in the way you are going to study, it's not going to be very effective. So this video is a video that is very important. And I would advise you that you make sure that you understand everything that we're going to go through here, because it's going to lay the foundation of you knowing exactly what to cover and what not to bother about. There is a lot of information out there online and also on YouTube, and of course, other people that are trained in DevOps, and they have a lot of information. And if you go on YouTube, you can easily get overwhelmed. So what I have here is a filtered information of what you need to know. You don't need to worry too much about going on YouTube or going somewhere else to try and understand what DevOps is. I want you to understand this as a first thing before we can get started with anything else, because when you know what DevOps is, it's going to be very easy for you moving forward. Now we get started. We have agendas here. The agenda for this entire video. We're going to just focus on concept, theory. We are not going to have any practical here because we haven't even started. This is technically your first day in class. So it's not much you know at this point about DevOps, but by the end of this video, you should understand this concept very well, and this will open many doors of knowing exactly what to do moving forward. The first agenda, of course, is to understand DevOps culture, the principles and practices. We need to understand the benefit and the challenges of DevOps. We need to understand the role of DevOps in software development and delivery. I don't want you to be worried too much about the words and what I'm saying here. By the time we go maybe at the middle of this course, these terms will be very familiar with you. We have continuous integration and continuous deployment as something that is famously called CI/CD pipeline. Again, don't worry about these jargons, but with time, they are going to become very normal thing for you. Then we have day-to-day activities of a DevOps engineer. Why did I decide to give you day-to-day activities? Because if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing in the company or at work, then your study is not going to be effective again, because you don't know exactly what you're trying to study. This is why this is very important, because when you know what you're supposed to do, then you are going to focus a lot in gaining those skills. So these will be agendas, and then we can get started here. We're going to start with DevOps culture, the principles and practices. What is DevOps? Because that's a big question. A lot of people get confused about what is DevOps. Is DevOps a person? What is DevOps? I want to let you know that DevOps is not a person. DevOps is not a title of a job or a title of a person. DevOps is just a concept. In simple terms, we can say that is a methodology. And here we are going to define what DevOps is. And in simple words, we can say that DevOps is a way of working where people from different teams work together. Why do they need to work together? They are working together to make sure that the software is made and delivered quickly and smoothly. So now from that definition, you can see a few things that you are starting to understand here. We are talking about teamwork. Let's go to the next point. We see that DevOps is all about teamwork and communication. And this is important because it helps to get the job done the best way possible. I want to let you know that every company you see out there, doesn't matter, McDonald's, Dunkin's Donut, Walmart, Amazon, they are all software companies. How do I know this? The answer is very simple. If I want to order grocery online, I can simply go and download Walmart app, get into the app, order the groceries that I want, and get them delivered to my place. Which tells me, even though Walmart is very famous for selling product in the store, it also have a nice T side of it. When we talk about team and teamwork, I want you to understand that most companies are going to have these three departments. And these departments are development. This is where we see people who develop features. What do I mean by features? Features are nothing but are functionalities of a software. A good example, when you go to the Amazon.com, you enter into the Amazon application, shopping cart is one of the features. Somebody had to develop that feature. This is where we find people that love to code. Coding, they are developing the features, developing applications. Then we have another department, and this department is what we call the operation. Some people call it the production. This is where we run the application. This is where, of course, we monitor the application. This is where people are concerned about seeing how application is working. But this is the application that was developed in the dev environment. Dev is just a short term of development. There is another department called quality assurance. The short word for quality assurance is QA. So you're going to hear the word QA a lot. What is the work of QA? It's quality assurance. It's just to make sure that whatever feature that we are developing, the feature is able to meet the customer requirements. In simple terms, there is a word we call customer acceptance, or what we call the acceptance test. So after developing the feature, we are here checking to see that the feature has met the criteria. I want to say this, since most companies are now today software companies, we have to know that there are two types of stakeholders, external stakeholders and internal stakeholders, or basically we can call them customers. If a company is developing the software for its own use, then that is what we call internal customer. If a company like ours is developing a software for an external customer, then that is a customer from outside. So that is not an internal stakeholder or an internal customer. So understand this. It doesn't mean that all companies are going to have three departments that are going to be called exactly the three names we are seeing here. No, some companies can have a different name. Some companies can call technology operation the marketing department. Some teams can call maybe quality assurance another name, can be called the unit testing department. We can have development being called something else. So, but again, this is the most famous mode of department. So I just want you to understand that. Next, we continue here. As I say, DevOps is not a person, it's just a methodology. There are very important concepts that you need to understand so that you can be aware of what DevOps is. And this concept, we are going to talk about them throughout the course. The first concept is you should automate as much as possible. What is automation? That's a question we are asking. What is automation? And automation means is just that ability of making sure that tasks that are very repetitive, we can let a machine do those tasks we as human beings can now focus on other tasks that we cannot automate. The word automation must come with what we call tools. If we are going to achieve automation, we have to replace a human being with a tool. And that's all it means. That is one of the biggest concepts in DevOps, automation. It means you are automating as much as possible. But again, I don't want you to get confused that just because I'm saying automate as much as possible, I'm saying that you have to automate everything you see. That's not the case. You just going to automate the tasks that are very repetitive, tasks that are happening a lot every day. You do them a lot, you repeat them all the time. If you can automate some of them, there are definitely so much benefits that you can achieve. And we are going to see those benefits, of course. This means that we are going to be using tools and machines to do some of the work. And this is going to allow our teams, we saw that we have different teams, to focus on important tasks. So let's be aware of this concept, this automation concept, very, very important. The next concept is testing things as soon as possible. You don't want to be waiting, because we saw that we have the QA, which is a quality assurance. We must test things, because if you are delivering things to the customer without testing and you are letting the customer test the things on your behalf, surely you are going to be disappointed. And even the process of testing things, we are going to automate that. But again, don't worry about how we are going to do it. I just want you to understand the concept behind DevOps. When we test as much as we can, we are able to find problems. And if we can find problems, we are able to fix them. And if we can fix the problems, we are able to deliver a quality product to the customers. Now, as I said, automation is very vital, but you cannot have automation without machines, or what we call tools. As you can see here, I'm saying very, very, very clearly here, to achieve automation, we are going to use tools and machines. What are some of the tools that we are going to use? We are going to use different languages. These are programming languages, because we are going to be writing scripts. Are we going to be coding? Well, we are not going to be coding features. I want you to understand this. Again, I'm going to say it again. We are not going to be coding features like shopping carts. However, we are going to be doing a high-level coding, and this is what we call scripting. Why do we need to script as DevOps engineers? We need to script because we need to automate tasks that are very repetitive. Of course, we cannot automate if we cannot be able to speak the language of the machine. And this is why scripting is going to be very important in this course. Which language are we going to use? We are going to use two languages, Bash and Python. Now the question is, what is Bash? And Bash is nothing but is a programming language that is mostly based on Linux. Don't worry about those things I'm talking about, operating system, because you are going to become very familiar with the Linux as we continue with this course. There is a difference between Bash and Shell. The shell scripting is mostly for Windows, again, another operating system. But in this course, because Linux is highly used in the enterprise environment, is going to be the main programming language that we are going to use to automate some of the repetitive tasks at work. The next language we are going to use is Python. Why did we select Python in this course? One, it uses very simple English syntax-like ways of writing the script. It's very easy to know and learn Python. So it's not a big deal. So those two are going to give us advantage that we need to have to be able to automate repetitive tasks at workplace. The next tool we are going to use is what we call Terraform. And as you can see now, you are seeing some things here like production, staging, and development. And the question is, what are we doing with Terraform? Don't worry about it. It's a tool we are going to use to automate the process of creating the infrastructure that we need to work, to make sure that we are working efficiently in the company. We have another tool here called Ansible. Again, this is another tool that is going to help us automate some of the tasks. Those include some tasks like configuring the server, managing the server, installing packages in the server. So this is going to be very important. Again, don't worry too much about it. We are going to have a whole session on this Ansible, and we are going to have multiple projects that are going to give you the skills that you need. We have something here called Docker file. Again, this is something we are going to see. Is a way of automating the process of building images and containers. And of course, you are going to come to know that microservices, or what we call containers, are becoming very famous today. We have Vagrant, and Vagrant again is another tool. There is a relationship between Terraform and Vagrant. One, they are both from HashiCorp. One is used to provision infrastructure in the cloud. The other one is used to provision what we call virtualized environment. Again, don't worry about these terms. We're going to really go through them and you have a good understanding. Are these all the tools that you can use? No, but these are the selective ones that we are going to use in this course. If you go in another program or on YouTube, you are going to see some of them suggesting other kind of tools that can do the same job. For instance, some people will suggest instead of using Terraform, you can use a very famous tool that we call the CloudFormation. And that CloudFormation is by AWS. We are not going to do that. We are going to follow exactly what we have in this video. Next, we continue with the DevOps tools for automation. There's something here I said we are not going to really go deep into it at this time, but it's going to become a very important concept for us as we proceed. And this is what we call the CI/CD pipeline. First, you have to know that CI means continuous integration. CD can mean either continuous deployment or continuous delivery. Don't worry again so much about that. This is the most important automation pipeline that we are going to build in our course. This automation pipeline is used to automate the process of building the software. As you can see here, and you can see we have the code, we have commit, we have pull request, we have to build, we have to test, we have security issues, and this is the CI part. Then we have the dev, we have QA stage, production, this is the CD. This process is going to repeat itself over and over and over. So for us to solve this process, because it's very repetitive, we are going to build a very robust infrastructure called CI/CD pipeline, which we are going to use to automate the entire process of running the code, building, all the way to delivering the artifact, or what we call the application to the production environment. So don't worry too much about this. It's something else we are going to see. But at this point, understand that this is one of the biggest concepts in DevOps. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about CI/CD pipeline so that as you continue to think about this course and as you look forward to where you need to get to, you can have a good understanding of what is going to happen. A CI/CD pipeline is nothing, but there are many tools that have been combined together so that they can automate the process of continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. At this point, I'm now going to define what continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment are. But just know that there are so many steps. As you can see from our image here, we have very many steps that are involved in this entire pipeline. This is a pipeline, as you can see, to look like a number 8. We have planning stage, we have coding, we have building, we have testing, we have release, we have deployment, we have operate and measure. These are all things that repeat themselves. This is why the pipeline looks like this. You can see it look like something that never stops. So DevOps is usually continuous. This is why we have terms like continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. The process never stops. So these will repeat themselves every day. So as a DevOps engineer, since we said automation is at the heart of DevOps, you must find a way to create a pipeline. And a pipeline is nothing but is a set of many tools that have been integrated together, and they are able to perform all these steps automatically without any human intervention. I mean, we cannot say without any human intervention, but we can say with minimal human intervention. So CI/CD pipeline are going to be very fundamental part of DevOps practices, and they are going to play a crucial role in making sure that they are fastening the process of building the software and also helping us to deliver a software that is quality, reliable, and also the performance is good of this software to the customer. We continue again with the pipeline. We are seeing that here is nothing but is a series of many automated steps, which means that also we have many tools that are involved in this CI/CD pipeline. It's important to know that each stage in the pipeline represents a specific task. For instance, when you look at the planning stage, we have some tasks that are going to be happening in the planning stage. When you look at the coding, there are tasks that are happening in the coding stage. You look at the build stage, there are going to be some tasks that are going to be happening in the building stage. Then we have the test, there are tasks that are happening there. Release, deploy, operate, there are tasks that are happening all over here. For instance, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These tasks happen every day. They repeat themselves all the time. So our work as DevOps engineers is to make sure that we can create a robust CI/CD pipeline and automate all these steps so that we can fasten the process of delivering the software to the final customer. To be able to do that, we are going to be using things like configuration files and also scripts. So we're going to be writing some scripts, and those scripts are high-level languages that are going to help us to automate some tasks. So the question is, what is a script? Script is nothing but is just a list of commands that we can use to perform specific tasks. So I want you to understand that very carefully, that script is nothing but is just a list of commands that are put together in a file, and then we can use them to automate certain tasks. Why do we need a CI/CD pipeline? Because if you understand why you need it, then you are going to know why you're going to focus a lot on CI/CD pipeline as we continue with this course. One, it helps us to be faster and more reliable when it comes to building and releasing the software. The second thing is that because a whole CI/CD pipeline is built on the concept of automation, it helps to reduce the manual intervention. And if we are going to reduce the manual intervention, we are removing the human being from the game. If we remove human being from the game, we are going to reduce the human errors. And if we remove the human errors, we are going to remove issues that can be caused, or issues that can affect our productivity, issues that can affect or cause the downtime. All those issues will be removed by removing the human being and automating the steps. It's going to improve collaboration among development and operation team, because with us automating the process and also creating a way to automate the entire process, we are also going to be helping both team, development and operation team, to be able to collaborate with each other. You have to remember that a DevOps as a concept, the work is to enhance collaboration. Also with the CI/CD pipeline, if we build something and it can work, it's very easy for us to roll back and go back to the previous version that was working. Another thing is that with CI/CD pipeline, we are able to have continuous feedback for developers, because every time you build, everything has been automated. So if a developer builds something that has an error, he or she is going to get the feedback immediately. And if they are going to get feedback immediately, that is going to help developer to fix the issue quicker. And if they are going to help to fix the issue quicker, we are going to be able to build the software even much faster. This is why this CI/CD pipeline is one of the most important infrastructure to a DevOps engineer. And we must make sure that we understand this pipeline very well as we continue to move along in this course. Now we continue with the DevOps important concept, and this time we are paying attention to automation. We say that automation, for us to be able to achieve automation, we have to replace a human being with machines. What are the benefits of automation? One, efficiency. If we're going to reduce the manual process and automate repetitive tasks, we are going to allow the team to focus on more valuable tasks. And that is, of course, is going to make the process of delivering the software more efficient. Another thing is consistency. When we automate a process, in most cases, we have to write a script. When we write a script, we can use our script to repeat the same kind of work in another environment. For instance, we're going to use a lot of script to install packages and software in a server. So if we use the same script to do the same job in another server, we are going to have two environments that are very consistent. Speed. When you automate tasks that are repetitive, of course, you are able to move faster and you're able to do the same job frequently. And also you don't have to sweat a lot. So speed becomes very important. And what happens when we have a good speed? We are able to deliver the software or the product quicker to the final customer. And if we are able to do that quicker, faster, we are also able to deliver the package or the application or the software at a lower budget. Reliability is another key issue. When we automate the test, deployment, and monitoring system, we are able to create infrastructure that is reliable. because when we automate those tasks, we are sure that we are sure that everything is going to work as needed. And by the way, for us to automate, we need to have what we call predefined configurations. What is configuration? Configuration is nothing but a file that runs an application or a process. So if we are going to write predefined configuration, the best thing is that we can use them again and again and again to do the same issue. And if we automate the process of monitoring the system, it means that we are going to be able to see anything that is happening in the system that is not supposed to happen in real time. And in case that issue is affecting the functionality of the software, we are going to be able to fix it before it become an issue and impact users. Scalability. It's very easy to scale when you automate things. This is especially when it comes to the process of building infrastructure, which we are going to see along this course. If you automate the process of building one server, then to build the next one is just a matter of changing a few things and then just deploying your configuration file. And that means that when it comes to scaling, because sometimes we might need a bigger infrastructure, and to do that is very easy because we just have to modify the script. So the process of scalability becomes easy. Reproducibility. Automation makes it possible to recreate and provision environment exactly as they were at a specific point or in time. That's very important because we saw that we have three environments. We have the dev, we have the QA, and we have production. If we want to reproduce one environment, let's say we just created some servers in the dev environment, and we want to reproduce the same infrastructure in the QA, we can easily do that through automation. Why? Because to do that, we have already predefined our environment. So to go and just reproduce it in a new environment is just a matter of deploying. So very important. Collaboration is very important. As we say, DevOps engineers, one of the key concepts here that we are looking into is automation, testing, and collaboration. Collaboration means you are able to collaborate with different teams, development, operation, QA, and other teams. When you automate things, you can easily be able to collaborate with others. And how do you do that? We are going to see exactly this concept because when we automate things, we need to write script. We need to come up with predefined configuration files. When we prepare those files, we can always share with other teams, and that makes it easy to collaborate. Risk reduction. Automation helps to mitigate the risk associated with manual intervention. Human is to error. We all know this. By automating repetitive tasks, you reduce the chances of introducing human error that can cause a downtime. So by automating, we are removing the human being, and by removing human being, we are removing the human being with the errors that a human being can make. And therefore, we are also reducing the chances of downtime. Continuous integration, continuous delivery, we cover this concept a lot, so we are not going to go through it again. Another benefit of automation is feedback loop. When you automate things, things happen very fast. And you are able to collect information and data in real time and metrics, which we are going to see as we continue in the course. Also, when we automate the task, for instance, let's say we have automated all the tasks of the CI/CD pipeline, you are going to see that people get the feedback immediately. Because if you do something that is not working, automation stops and throw an error. And of course, you are able to get the feedback immediately and fix the issue. That's very important, because if we are using the manual intervention to get feedback, you have to first of all do the task and wait for somebody to come and look at it or look into it. And then after that, they can give you the feedback. If they are tied in something else, they are going to take the whole day to get back to you. So the problem is, what have you been doing the whole day? It means that you have just been waiting for the feedback. And that's not a good thing for our productivity, because the time you could have been waiting for the feedback, you could be doing something else, but you can't proceed until you get the feedback. By automating the process of getting the feedback, you are making sure that your teams are getting the feedback instantly. And when you get feedback instantly, you can go and fix the issue that you are facing. Another thing here is cost saving. Or there may be initial investment, of course, when you are setting up automation, because you need all the tools, you need somebody with the knowledge. It often results in a long-term cost saving due to increased efficiency, reduced downtime, increased productivity, and also better resource utilization. So cost saving is one of it. And this one, you can also look at it from the human being perspective. When you automate the processes, you remove the human being and you replace them with the machine. Of course, at first you have to invest heavily, but after some time, you don't have to pay people to do the same job. And the people that used to do all those repetitive things, they can now focus on doing other things that are more valuable to the company, which means not only are you saving time, you are also able to deliver products that are more superior. You are also able to focus on things that really matters to the progress of the company. Let's make a summary. Automation is a key driver of DevOps concepts like continuous integration, continuous delivery, and collaboration. Automation empowers the team to be able to deliver high-quality software, and the team is able to do this faster, quicker, and also deliver a software that is more reliable. So this is very important, understand this concept, because this is one of the main concepts in DevOps. Automate as much as you can. Now we go to the next concept. And the next concept is what we call collaboration. DevOps also has what we call a collaboration concept. Everybody works as a team. We need to work as a team. Why? Because working as a team has many benefits. And when we work as a team, we are able to do things in a smooth manner. What are the benefits of collaboration? You have to remember that DevOps is a concept, it's a methodology. And this methodology is built on three things: test as much as you can, automate as much as you can, and collaborate all the time. So who are you collaborating with? You are collaborating with development, operation, and QA. But you have to remember that QA is always part of operation. So the main collaboration here is between the development and operation. Traditionally, these two teams have often operated in isolation. What does that mean? It means that before, development and operation used to operate as if they do not know each other. We can say that. Or we can simply say that they used to operate individually. But that's not good because we are building the same product. If we are not communicating and we are building the same product, of course, when developers are done with what they are doing, then they ship the product to the operation. An operation team doesn't understand exactly how this product was developed. We are going to have a lot of misunderstandings. We're going to have people finger pointing. We're going to have delay. So the only way to break down all these issues and make sure that we have a smooth process between development and operation team is to bring what we call collaboration. But these two people speak different languages. So we surely needed somebody who can be able to speak both the languages. And that person or that concept is focused on what we call DevOps, because it's able to understand what is happening in the dev and is able to understand what is happening in the operation. Shared goals. When we collaborate and work as a team, we are able to share common objectives. We are also able to share the KPIs. What is KPIs? This is something you are going to hear a lot, which is key parameters indicators. And these are just the things that we use to measure how well the team is functioning. How often are you delivering the software? That's a that's a very important KPI. It's helping us to know how good your performance is. When teams collaborate, they work toward shared goals. And this is going to lead more efficient and effective software development process. What is another benefit of collaboration? Faster problem resolution. In a collaborative DevOps environment, when an issue is going to come up, both development and operation teams are going to work together to solve the issue. Two heads are better than one. So when we bring somebody from the development team and we bring another person from the operation team, we are able to solve the problem together. And what are the benefits? This results in faster incident response, or what we can say, this is going to help us to solve the problem that was causing maybe downtime much faster. And if we are going to solve it much faster, then we are going to reduce the amount of time the application has been down. Very important concept. Another one is a feedback loop. Continuous feedback is also very important in DevOps. We want to build software that is very reliable. So by collaborating, we are able to exchange the feedback between or among the teams. Developers are able to receive the feedback on how the code is performing in production, while the operation team is able to gain insight into the code that is coming to them. So this is very important because it helps to improve the product that we are delivering to the customer. I know you keep hearing me keep saying product. What is a product? It's nothing but a software. Another benefit is what we call the cross-functional skills. Collaboration is going to encourage cross-functional skill development. What does this mean? It means that developers are going to gain better understanding of infrastructure and operation team become more familiar with the development processes. If we are going to be mixing the skills, we are going to be able to build a team that is very strong. Automation. Collaboration is essential in automating the entire software delivery pipeline. Why? Because we need to know the task that we need to automate. How do we know the task? We have to collaborate between development and operation. That is the only way we are going to be able to know which tasks are acting like bottlenecks. And if we can be able to know the tasks that are delaying the process of delivering the software, then we can be able to automate them. And if we automate those tasks, we are able to improve efficiency and consistency. The other things that are very important to the collaboration, we have the risk reduction. Again, when we collaborate, we are able to reduce the risk and also be able to be familiar with what the customer needs. We are able to improve the quality. Of course, collaboration leads to a higher focus on the quality because everybody in the team is there. We are talking, we are looking at how this software is working. We are getting the feedback, and that is going to help to improve the quality. The culture and the mindset is also going to change. Collaboration is very important because it helps to transform how the people work. It forces the team to adopt a mindset of working together, sharing responsibility, and helping each other to achieve a common objectives. And this is very important to the performance of the company. Finally, we have to understand that collaboration is always going to help the team to become a customer-centric focus, which means DevOps is driven toward the customer. We are always worried about the customer. So collaboration ensures that both development and operation team have a deeper understanding of the customer's need. Why do we need to do this? Because one, the people operating the application, the people on the operation side, are able to get feedback from the customers. But the people who develop the features, which is, of course, they are in the dev environment, they can get the same feedback by sharing with the people in the production or what we call the operation. And when we both focus on making sure the customer is happy, we are able to improve the products, increase the sales, increase the revenue, and continue to grow. Now we come and look at what we call the DevOps concept disadvantages. We have talked a lot about DevOps. We have seen all the benefits. We have seen the main concept. But as we know, there is always disadvantage regardless of how superior a concept is. We have to remember that DevOps is all about automation, collaboration, communication. While automation is a key aspect of DevOps, you can always fall into what we call overdoing something. And one of the things that, of course, you can overdo is over-automate. We say that we have to be careful. It's not everything that needs to be automated. Again, when you automate things so much, you remove the human being completely out of the site. And removing the human being out of the site can also make it very difficult to detect and address issues that automation cannot handle. It's not everything that automation is going to solve. There are things that still need human interaction. So when you keep focusing on automation, you are going to fall into the problem of what we call over-automation. And this is one of the disadvantages of DevOps, because everything is geared toward automation. So there has to be a balance. Even though you are automating, you still have to leave a space for human interaction. And this is why the next concept, which we have talked a lot about, is collaboration. Because if we all just automate, we remove the human being out of the picture. Removing the human being out of picture, remove collaboration. And this is why also we said another concept that is very important in DevOps is communication, continuous communication. Again, we still need human being to communicate. Another thing that can become a disadvantage in the DevOps is using tools a lot. And you can suffer what we call the tool overload. For you to automate, this follows the first concept. For you to automate, you need tools. However, when you over-automate, you also suffer from what we call the tools overload. Another thing is that you are going to understand very quickly as we continue with this course is that in every tool that you are going to use, there is always some alternatives. And some people, sometimes it can be very difficult to determine which tool to use. And this can become overwhelming. If an organization is not careful, it can end up with too many tools that do not work well together, and that can cause confusion and can also make the process of building, testing, and delivering the software to become inefficiency. Complexity. As you're going to understand this course, it's going to be very nice, but you're going to understand that DevOps is not an easy concept. It always causes a shift in how people do things. And this is not an easy, it's not an easy thing to make people start thinking a different way. Some organizations have been doing things the same way for over 20, 30 years. So trying to change them and make them think in a different way is not going to be an easy method or an easy way. Because it's going to force them, of course, to change the way they see things. It's going to force them to change the way they operate. It's going to change them the way they communicate. It's going to force them to change the way they do things on a daily basis. And that shift of culture is not going to be achieved with ease and can cause complexity. Now we come to something that is very, very important. We have seen what a DevOps concept is. We have seen the main concept inside the DevOps. We have seen why we need DevOps. We have seen some of the main components of DevOps, specifically the automation itself. We have seen all the benefits of automation. We have seen the benefits of collaboration. We have seen the benefits of communication. And of course, we have continuous testing. We have seen the benefit. We have also seen the disadvantage of the DevOps concept. And we have said that DevOps is not a person. It's just a methodology. But what is going to be your day-to-day activities in the company? Why is it that I'm bringing this at the beginning of the class? The reason we are doing this at the beginning of class is very simple. I want you to start getting familiar with what you do at work. Because when you know what you do at work, you can be able to know what to focus on. There are many, many activities that DevOps engineers do. However, there are common activities that most DevOps engineers always do. And by the end of this course, you should be able to do most of them. And I'm not just saying what they are, but also being able to solve problems and also troubleshoot and also solve and create projects that can automate and bring advantage to the company. The first activity that you do on daily basis is not a must that you do them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but this is something that you do all the time, is to automate infrastructure provisioning. When I say infrastructure provisioning, I mean infrastructure creation. This is a concept that we are going to really go deep in this course. We are going to automate the process of creating infrastructure in the cloud. We are also going to automate the process of creating virtualized environments. We are going to use different tools. We need the environment and infrastructure to be able to function in a company. What are some of these infrastructure? Like servers. So that is one of the things that you do on a daily basis. Another thing you do is managing configurations. When I talk about configurations, I want you to think about the files that runs the application. Somebody has to write that. Somebody has to manage that. There are very good tools that we call configuration management. Don't worry too much about it. We are going to have a lengthy topic on this because they are very important tools in the process of automating the configuration of infrastructure. One of the most common tools is going to be Ansible, and that's what we use a lot. Another thing that you do on a daily basis, of course, is creation, maintenance, scaling of your CI/CD pipeline. So you are involved in the continuous integration and delivery and deployment almost on a daily basis. And you have to know that continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment is not one task. There are many tasks inside of this pipeline. So some days you might just be creating the infrastructure. Some days you might be involved in the process of automating the building process. Some days you might be involved in the process of releasing the software. Some days you might be involved in the process of deploying the software to the production. So those are all activities that are going to be under the continuous integration and deployment. Monitoring and logging is part of you. You'll be required to set up and maintain monitoring and logging system using tools like Nagios, ELK Stack, and many other that we are going to see in this course. Why do we need to monitor the logs and metrics? We need to monitor so that we can have the real-time feedback of how our infrastructure is performing. In case there is any error in the performance of our applications or system, we can always look at the logs. In case there is any issue with the performance of our infrastructure, we can always look at the metrics. So we are going to set up, and as an engineer, you should be able to do this. You are going to be able to set up what we call the monitoring and logging tools. Security compliance is a must. You're always going to make sure that your infrastructure and application are secure and they are in compliance with the industry standard and regulations. This is going to be making sure that the security best practices, network best practices, you are able to perform regular security auditing, you are able to perform regular patching or patch management of your system, which we are going to see down the line. You are able to do all that. Collaboration and communication. You work with different teams. You work with developments, you work with developers, testers, project managers. You work with team in the operation. You work with team in the monitoring. You work with the network team. And you must keep communicating with the team members, collaborating. And of course, we saw the benefit of collaboration. Continuous improvement. I want you to understand that DevOps is all about continuous. Everything is continuous. Continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, continuous communication, continuous improvement. What does this mean? You have to keep staying up to date with the new tools and technology. You cannot just say, well, I know what Ansible is, that's the end of me. You have to keep identifying the areas of improvement of your CI/CD pipeline. You have to keep gathering new knowledge because there are new tools that are coming out in the market every day. So when you have done most of the things that you need to do on maybe let's say it's Friday, you have done most of the things that you need to do for that week, you can start testing new tools to see how they fit into your pipeline. Sometimes you're going to be scaling environment. As the organization and application grow, and also infrastructure also need to increase in size so that they can handle the traffic. You also be required to participate in the process of creating infrastructure that can easily scale and meet the company's expectation. You're also involved in the training of developers and training other people, and also making sure that the DevOps culture is well understood in the company. DevOps engineers may also be responsible for training developers. Developers are fully focused on making sure that they are writing the code that we are using to build the features. They might not have all the time to be trying to know what is happening in the operation. They might not know what kind of environment we are using in the operation. They might not really bother about creation of infrastructure. They might not really be worried about scaling the infrastructure. So it's going to be some of your work to be helping developers to know and learn how to create their own infrastructure. And you can do this by automating the whole process and teaching them exactly how to run a few commands to get the kind of infrastructure they need to enhance their daily work. You also have to support them. You also have to teach them about how to use new tools. And you also have to educate them on how to achieve the best practices on everything they do. You also have to automate repetitive tasks. This is this kind of the number 10. It means that we know that one of the main concepts of DevOps is automation. So we are going to be using things like clone job. Don't worry about what clone job is. Scripts, configuration management tools to be able to automate tasks. We all know the benefit of automation. So go through this PowerPoint again to make sure that you understand what automation is. Every company has meetings. There are also meetings that you need to be aware of that happen at workplaces. The first meeting that is always there and is always going to happen is what we call the startup meeting. In my company, it happens 3 times a week. A startup meeting is also what we call the daily startup, daily scrum. If you hear that word, it's still startup meeting. They are usually short, 15 minutes. Everybody is starting. And the work of the main reason we have in the meeting is for the team to gather and talk a little bit about the progress and also the plan of the day. You always participate in the startup meeting. Why? Because you are the person that need to collaborate and also to communicate and also to talk to the other team and know what kind of problem they are facing so that you can automate and enhance efficiency. When you are participating in the startup meeting as a DevOps, your work is to listen and also identify any issues or roadblocks that may be impacting developers or the operation team and slowing down the process of developing the software. You have to be listening. The next kind of meeting is what we call the swarm meeting. They are just like startup meeting, but they don't happen the first thing in the morning. Startup meeting is usually the first thing that happen in the morning. Some meetings don't always happen in the morning. They can happen anytime. And they usually involve the entire team. Unlike the startup meeting, which can have different kind of team coming together, some meetings are usually specific to the team. But also they can involve different kind of teams also. The kind of swarm meeting that we do in my company is a swarm meeting that we come together as a DevOps team and look at the project that we are having. And then we look at what is happening. We look at who is supposed to do what. And of course, if we identify one of the individuals that is lagging behind, we are able to come together, swarm into the problem that the person is facing, make sure before the end of the meeting, this person is able to come to the level in where everybody in the team is. The aim of the swarm meeting is not to identify who is going to finish the project first. That's not the aim. The aim of the swarm meeting is to make sure that we working as a team and we are able to meet the set goal as a team. You're also going to be required to participate in swarm meetings. And also it's important to be able to share details of what infrastructure, how infrastructure is going. Also share things and share ideas about what kind of automation you have in mind. And also you can listen and know exactly what kind of problem the teams are facing so that you can create solution, especially solution that can be automated. The next meeting is what we call decision-making meeting, happen at work. Decision-making meetings are usually held when an important decision is about to be made. You can always participate as a DevOps engineer so that you can be able to provide your technical expertise and guidance, especially on things to do with automation, collaboration, infrastructure creation, and also things that are related to the CI/CD pipeline, scaling. Those are all areas that you are an expert in. And we are going to make sure that you become an expert in those areas. There is also another meeting that happened at work. This is what we call retrospective meetings. And retrospective meetings are also known as retros. They are usually held at the end of a sprint or a project. Might be asking yourself, what is a sprint? A sprint is nothing but is a project that is finished within 14 days, 2 weeks. And the aim of retros, or what we call retrospective meeting, is to find out how things went. When we were working on the project, how did the things went? What are some of the things that we did well? What are some of the things that we did not do well? What are the things that we can improve in the future? As a DevOps engineer, it's very important to participate in the retros, because you can also be able to provide the feedback on what is happening, what you think is not going well, and what you think need to improve. Finally, we have another meeting we call the war room meetings. It's like going to a war. War room meetings are held in case of emergency. And they are only held when we have an emergency in the operation side of the company. In case we have a security issue that is critical and is affecting our application, war room meeting is held. These meetings always involve everybody. They are designed to gather everybody to fix the issue as soon as possible, because the issues that usually require a war room meetings, they are usually issues that are affecting the customer. DevOps engineers may participate in the war room meetings so that they can also provide the technical expertise and see and support, of course, the other teams in making sure that this application come back as quick as possible. There is something that happened actually two or 3 weeks ago. We did experience an outage of the cache. That's really is going to call for a war room meeting, because you could not send money, you could not receive money, you could not cash out the money to your bank. That issue was affecting the customer. So that's a very good example of what we call a production issue. And people have to work around the clock to solve such an issue. So it's usually going to call for a war room. Different teams are going to come together. You as an engineer, you have to be there. As a DevOps engineer, you have to be there. Also to be providing your expertise and making sure that this application come back and you are able, of course, to satisfy the customer, and also making sure that after this application is back to operation as it should, you also make sure that you look at the issue that was causing the application to go down, find a solution, document the solution, so that in case it happens, you don't have to troubleshoot. You already have the solution documented. And this brings us to the end of our first concept. It also brings us to the end of our first video in this course. This PowerPoint is going to be sent to you. You're going to have it to your email. And also a quiz is going to be included. This quiz is going to be 30 questions. And the quiz is due in the next class. Thank you.